Hey everyone, so in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you all a plethora of beautiful makeup products. These are my top 3 makeup products in every category. Truly, these are like standby products that I've loved for a really long time, and I feel like that's really the only reason I was comfortable enough with doing this video. Being contained to 3 products, it was hard. And I honestly do think that there are a lot of products here that are missing that I absolutely love. But you know what? I still absolutely love these products, and I know that, you know, if you are watching this today or if you're watching this tomorrow, nothing's gonna change. These are products that I really, really love. So number 1, starting in the primer category, we have the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base, a primer that I have loved for years, and I think the main reason I really love this kind of base cream primer product is that it gives you a really nice hydrated base, but it also has a very soft kind of, you know, softening quality when it's on the skin. There's a very slight touch of blur, and I believe that there's something different to this than like your typical I'm going to moisturize as a prep product kind of thing. I think that because of this formula, the way it melts onto the skin, blurs and hydrates without being overly emollient, the way it sits under makeup, all together, I think that this is still one of my favorite products that Bobbi Brown has come out with. Though I will say, oh crap, I wanted to mention another Bobbi Brown favorite, but I feel like I can't because it's not included. This is a product that I have loved for a long time, and I like that they now have a smaller size so that if you want to try it without purchasing the full tub, you can. Prep Mist is the Physicians Formula, the Essence of Healthy Mist. I've talked about this for a long time as well. It is 98% galactomyces filtrate ferment. So if you want to talk about a true makeup skincare hybrid kind of product, I think that this is certainly one that I would be on the lookout for. It really preps the skin and adds a nice hydration, a nice glow without being really greasy. Makeup likes to stick to it as well, so I feel like if you do want more of a tacky base, this is a nice way to do it without going in with like a full-on tacky serum kind of primer. It also is really nice to use throughout your routine if you just want to refresh and kind of mesh all the layers together. So affordable, have loved it for a long time, very luxurious as well. I know I have one more primer product. Yes, it is a newer favorite. Here it is. It is the e.l.f. Halo Glow Liquid Filter. Now, granted, I feel like this is probably the newest favorite in this entire video. I just think that as far as a glowy base product, you really can't go wrong with it. I think it's one of the best launches that e.l.f. has come out with, period. I'm using it under my foundation today. I love the lit from within kind of glow that it gives the skin under makeup. I actually really love it on top of the cheekbones as well, but as far as a glowy primer for under makeup, this to me feels like the most subtle, softening, but still glowy primer, you know, without it feeling like a liquid highlight that you put all over your face. And I feel like a lot of glowy primers were essentially that for a long time. Walks that really perfect balance between being really skin-like and lovely and not being, you know, overly texturized looking or awkward on the skin. For foundation, this was interesting to me. I'm only picking 2 because I know that these are my 2 most used foundations. I could easily pick like 10. So I feel like even putting a 3rd in that spot, like it was giving me anxiety for some reason because I felt like there were like 5 products that I could put in that 3rd spot. So I'm just gonna tell you the top 2. This is my number 1 foundation of all time. It is the Shiseido Synchro Radiant Lifting Foundation. If you are combo to oily, I would go with the original. If you are normal to dry, I would go with the Radiant. This formula is true innovation within the foundation space. I can literally be having such a poor skin day and I apply this and it applies evenly, smoothly. I can't get over how beautiful it looks every single time. Throughout the day, it slowly wears back into itself. So if you get dry, if you get more oily, that kind of self-refreshing quality is essentially just this being a very flexible long wear formula that moves with the skin. I mean, I hope you guys would have figured out by now that I'm very picky with makeup, certainly with foundation, and the way my skin looks. I need that true skin-like look. This is an absolutely perfect product for me. The way it feels on the skin, the way it looks, the blur, the overall texture, it's perfection. Both 140 and 130 have both worked for me really beautifully as well. I have multiple bottles of this, multiple bottles of the original. It's just one of the best foundations, period. It does go in and out of stock pretty frequently, but I will try and leave a link down below to the product that is in stock. Most of the shades are in stock. And the second foundation is from Kosas. It is their Revealer foundation. Another spiel that I have said for so long, the Kosas Revealer foundation, I had insanely high hopes. I was not even expecting it to be this good because the Kosas Revealer concealer, we might as well talk about this while we're talking about the foundation because this is the only concealer that I would pick. It's my holy grail. I've never used a better concealer in my life. But the Kosas Revealer foundation, because the standards were so high with the release of the concealer and the way it worked into my routine every single day, I needed this to be good. Honestly, still surprised that Kosas delivered a foundation that I love so much. And I don't say that because I didn't believe in Kosas. I just, you know, the standards were just so freaking high for me. This is actually quite similar to the Shiseido. It is a little bit more emollient, and I think that it's a little bit glowier than the Shiseido as well. But if you are someone that you're like, I love using the Kosas Revealer Concealer all over my face, you can just use like a half a pump of this all over the face and you're gonna get a very similar look. I love the way it looks. It's such a juicy, pretty skin look. Both of these foundations are more medium coverage. I love a medium coverage personally. I find that a medium coverage very quickly on the face makes me feel my best. I think that if you are someone with quite dry skin and you tend to prefer a little bit of a glowier finish, a little bit more emollients, then I do think that the Kosas is worth looking into. When you think about like the Kosas Tinted Face Oil versus like the Revealer foundation, it's so interesting to see like the way the brand has evolved, the way the formulas have stepped up, which is always exciting. But yeah, so Kosas Revealer Foundation and the concealer are both absolute favorites. Very quick note about the Kosas Revealer Concealer, if you guys don't know why I love it. I'm not even exaggerating when I tell you guys that I, at one point, was buying every single concealer or trying on every concealer in store under my eyes, and I was getting like so frustrated because I was like, you know, without concealer, yes, I have darkness, but every time I put on a concealer to kind of try to make the hollowness and the darkness look a little bit brighter, it made it worse. It made it worse. And I noticed, again, I'm someone that's very conscientious when I'm putting on my makeup, you know, focusing on how the skin looks, the quality of the skin. And when I would see my under eyes just looking so dry, looking way more hollow than I knew they were, it was very defeating for me. The Maybelline Fit Me was a favorite for a very long time. I still really like that concealer. That was, you know, a holy grail for years, but when I tried the Kosas Revealer, it was like lights out. I can't even believe this product exists kind of makeup product. I've always had deep set eyes. It's something that like I was a kid and people thought that I looked tired, you know what I mean? So to finally be able to find that product that didn't make my deep set eyes look darker or exaggerate texture or exaggerate dryness, it really affected me. It did. So the Kosas Revealer Concealer is still you know, no other concealers need to be mentioned. It would be that one. We'll talk about powder in a second, but first let's talk about bronzer because that's typically how I do my makeup. First of all, this is a product that I discovered this year from Charlotte Tilbury. It is their Beautiful Skin Sun-Kissed Glow Bronzer. It is perfect. I love the shade. I love this formula that feels really creamy and balmy, but when it goes onto the skin, it doesn't skip or pick up makeup. It doesn't look really heavy or chunky or too glowy either. It is insanely easy, and that's why I've been reaching for it almost every single time I do my makeup this summer because, you know, I want to get out the door. I want to make sure that I'm using a dependable cream bronzer, and it's just the freaking best. Really, it's such a bummer that Charlotte Tilbury isn't restocking the shades more. Again, I am going to try and leave a link down below with this fair shade in stock because if you do have more fair skin, I also think that it is a beautiful shade. All around, it's a home run. One more cream bronzer. This is Makeup by Mario Light Medium, the Soft Sculpt Stick. So if I do want to do a little bit of shaping to my face, this is kind of like my go-to contour bronzer kind of product. I love this formula because it has a nice gripping quality to it. There are quite a lot of cream bronzers on the market that I feel like more recently there's way too much silicone in them. They just do not get along well with my skin whatsoever. They really emphasize any hair on my face. You can almost see them sitting on top of the skin in this layer, and then all the other makeup is kind of sitting beneath it. It's a very awkward look on my skin at least, and the Makeup by Mario formula is such a staple kind of formula for me because the layers build on top of each other really smoothly. The pigment is very even, and I think that is definitely in part due to the formula. The formula isn't even super emollient either. It lasts really well on the skin. The light medium shade is such a beautiful contour shade for me. Another product that I feel like is almost always out of stock, and it could just be like supply chain issues, but you know, it isn't surprising to me because this formula is just really beautiful. And a powder bronzer, which I know sounds bizarre, but the Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Powder Bronzer, this is the shade Light. One of the best powder bronzers I've ever used. It is an incredibly thin bronzer that you can really build up. It's very finely milled, and it kind of layers and layers in a way that doesn't look really powdery on the skin. It really melts in while also giving a nice structure to the face. It does a good job of kind of setting any cream bronzer that I have under it as well. But if I need that fast bronzer, a powder is obviously really fast for a lot of us. I'm telling you, if you struggle with powder bronzers, you're like, Amanda, I can't find one that has ever worked for me. This is such a beautiful, easy to work with powder bronzer, and I think it's really beginner friendly. And just side note, as you can tell, I like a lot of cream products, or I mean, more cream products are to come. But the fact that I actually included a powder bronzer when I could have easily included another cream bronzer, I feel like, guys, that says something. This product is really freaking good. Speaking of creams, let's talk about some cream blush. This is the one that is on my face today, and it is from Half Caked. It is their NSYNC liquid blush. I have been talking about this quite frequently this year because I just love it. It's a liquid blush that just wants to melt into the skin. It has a really nice, gorgeous amount of pigment as well, but it's not way too much pigment either. So I find that it's one of those liquid blushes that has that rich vibrancy, but you're not gonna be like, oh crap, I added way too much. So I think it's nice for that reason. I've told this story before about this blush, but I was having like a weird makeup day and things just weren't blending or looking good. And I put a little bit of this on top, and then all of a sudden everything melted back in together. And I was like, are you magic? The shades are freaking beautiful. I just think that this launch is one that I would 100% go back to over and over again. And it's one that I have now. If you are a fan of something like the Glossier Cloud Paints, I prefer these. They're more affordable than the Cloud Paints. Seriously, one of the best liquid blushes I've ever used. A favorite for a long time from Honest Beauty is the Cream Cheek. This is specifically the shade Coral Peach. I gotta tell you that if you have oily skin and you struggle to find a cream blush that lasts, please check out this cream blush. Works so beautifully, especially if you like to use powder. You can apply this on top of powder and you don't have to worry about it looking choppy or awkward. This will 100% work with a variety of different textures. I just feel like this is one of those products that I go back to over and over again. I mean, I have dry skin, but like especially when I think about those of you that do have a more combo or oily skin type that struggle to find those products that want to stick and remain vibrant and beautiful throughout the day, I'm like, well, holy crap, you gotta try out this one. I love the texture. It's very thin, but there's a tack and a hold to it, which again is a good sign that it's going to last a while. I love the color. I want to see more colors, honestly. It's also quite pigmented, but again, you can always sheer it out. I think that it's one of those cream blushes that it'll take you a while to get through it, but it is a product that I really believe in, have used for years. I mean, you can go check out some of my earlier videos, but I wouldn't recommend it. And lastly, we have the Kjaer Weis Cream Blush. This is the shade Blossoming, but my favorite is the shade Inner Glow. As far as just that really classic creamy blush texture, you really can't go wrong with Kjaer Weis. I'm gonna add a little bit actually. It's just one of those middle of the road natural finish blushes that just adds that gorgeous pop of color while you can just like, you know, just tap it into the skin. It's so easy and it has such a beautiful natural finish to it. And I think that that's something that I personally find with makeup. You know, I want to go back to those really easy to work with products. It's definitely more emollient than something like the Honest Beauty, but if you have like, say, mature skin, dry skin, this is such a gorgeous, fresh blush look. It's certainly one that I would recommend and go back to over and over again. And specifically the shade Inner Glow. If you have very fair skin and you're looking for a really beautiful blush that almost like shapes the face and adds like a pretty sculpt and like a volume. I don't know how it does it, I still don't, but that is one of the best blush shades I've ever used. So good. Okay, for powder, there's only one. It's from Givenchy. The Prism Libre Rose Powder. It's really one of the best powders I've ever used. I don't like powder under my eyes almost ever, and this is the only one that I will reach for voluntarily. It is so soft looking on the skin. It's brightening, it's blurring, it's never heavy looking. I'm so happy that I decided to pick it up on a whim. I really, again, it's one of those things with the powder, especially when it's more expensive and you already don't like powder, I'm like, you know, how is this gonna go? Gosh, am I excited that I picked it up. It's absolutely gorgeous. Again, if you have dry skin and you find that powders just do not look good on you, and you haven't given this one a go, it's really good. Okay, eyeshadow, this is one of those categories that this feels, there are definitely some products missing, so kind of just like a disclaimer, but these are like 3 that I'm reaching for a ton, so I am gonna stick with these. Let's talk about what is on my eyes. So the shadow that's all over the lid is from Dior, a product that I discovered this year and have been sharing with you guys for a while now, and it is the Monocolor Couture in the shade Beige Mitza. It's just such a perfect taupey bronze shade. There is such an elegance to the color, the way it washes out onto the lid. It's metallic but not chunky. It's like the most sophisticated kind of metallic. Paired with the color, it's perfect. I love this powder texture. I am typically a cream person, but it is so freaking beautiful and smooth, and it definitely has this finely milled quality that lets it sit really closely on the skin. I haven't been able to find a shade quite like it, and I think that overall, as far as a one and done goes, I mean, certainly in my updated favorite one and done eyeshadow video, you will be seeing this top of the list. It's such an incredible, phenomenal eyeshadow product. And what I have on top of it just in here is a product that you guys know I've talked about for years, and it is Urban Decay Space Cowboy. You know, it's just that perfect beigey, wet looking eyeshadow that creates a wet looking effect on any eyeshadow if you just tap it on top. And you can also use it on its own. Of course, I love doing that as well, but whenever I feel like my makeup look, you know, it's just missing something, usually I'll tap this on the lids and I'm like, oh, saved it. Looks great now. If you want to know more about like my favorite wet looking eyeshadows, I have 2 different videos on a ton of my favorites, so I will leave some of those for you down below. This has such a gorgeous, bouncy but thin texture. The way it sits so freaking closely on the skin gives you that perfect wet effect. I mean, you can't go wrong. And lastly, Oyster Pearl from Charlotte Tilbury. And this is more of a slightly taupier shade with a touch of a metallic finish. It's such a gorgeous, creamy look on the eyes. Again, if you have more mature skin, I feel like this cream shadow is so perfect to give you that just wash of taupey, gorgeous color. It has that emollients. It's perfect for a one and done, model off dewy look. It is, you know, it's a product that I've talked about for a long time, and I know it must be boring to hear about it over and over again, but I use it that much, so I had to talk about it again. Moussey texture makes it so freaking easy to blend onto the eyes. It's just one of those products that is so consistently gorgeous, emollient, and reflective. Certainly one of my favorite makeup products ever. And for highlight products, the one that I have on my face today is the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Beauty Light Wand, and this is the shade Spotlight. As far as liquid highlights go, this is still one of my favorites. It's just such a perfect highlighted effect that sets down. It has a touch of a blur, but it still gives you enough of a pop. You know, it has that balance. As far as liquid highlights go, I mean, this is my second tube, which I don't even know if I've ever gone through a liquid highlight. So I feel like that says a lot about this. I think there's a reason that it gets so much hype. I absolutely love the effect. I love that it's both emollient but long lasting. The formula really just, you know, knocks it out of the park. But if I do want to go for a more balmy highlight, I really went back and forth between this and another balm highlight, but I wanted to recommend this one from Chanel, and it's the Balm Essential in the shade Sculpting. And I just feel like there's something unique about this. It almost has a touch of a blur to it, but it is more of just like a plain translucent balm. I mean, it has a little something to it, but it is just like that fresh facial balm product that isn't too sticky or too emollient. It really adds this radiance to the skin, and it looks so incredibly natural without it being like, oh, I just, you know, tapped Vaseline on my cheekbones. It still is adding enough. And I really feel like as far as balm highlights go, this one is giving you something different. It kind of adds that extra cosmetic elegance with that touch of blur, and I really don't know how they do it. Now for brows, I absolutely love the AOA Studio Slim Brow Pencil. This is $1, you guys. Applies perfectly. It's that perfect texture, you know, it isn't too waxy, but it's not too creamy or too pigmented. Hard to recommend another brow pencil when you can get this one for $1. It's such good quality, and this bottom part doesn't break off like every other brow pencil I have. Really, 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 really good. And then I have the Patrick Ta Major Brow Lamination Gel. As far as clear brow gels go, this has been an absolute favorite. It really picks up every hair and fluffs it out without it being like too pressed against the skin. You know, some lamination gels I feel like are more of that soap brow, like cemented onto the face look, which I actually really like, but I don't think it looks good on my brows. But this is that perfect balance between giving you a nice fluff and lifted look while not being too sticky. But it will last really well. You know, this is not your everyday clear brow gel. It definitely has a lot of hold. I just haven't used another clear brow gel that gives me the volume that this does. And I think it's because of that paddle applicator, the way it kind of lifts every single brow hair and like very softly puts them into place. I'm typically a clear pomade person because I like the texture, but this clear brow gel has pretty much been the only gel that I'm using. Mascara. So the CoverGirl Lash Blast Volume has been a favorite for a very long time. And as far as an everyday natural lash, fluffy, voluminous, you know, your lashes but better, but not just lengthening, you know, it still has a fluff. It's perfect. I have loved it for years. It's one of those mascaras that really adds the luxurious fluff without a lot of heavy volume to the lashes. It's just that pretty everyday lash look. It's one of the best. If I want a little bit more fluff, then I'll probably go in with the Beauty Pie Uber Volume Boost. This one is a natural bristle, whereas the CoverGirl is a rubberized. This one is a little bit better if I'm going for a touch of a smokier look, but it's still nice and fluffy and suitable for every day. Great volume, great length, and just a touch more flirty than the CoverGirl is. And then if I want a lot of volume, I really want to go Vavoom, then I'll go in with the Essence Lash Princess. This one adds a lot of length, a lot of volume. Definitely one of the more intense mascaras that I have, but it is one that I still really, really love. It is certainly a false lash effect kind of look. I've also really been loving the Crazy Volume from Essence. I didn't want to recommend that one over this one just because I've used this one for longer. Now for lip products, clearly the lipstick that I talk about all the time are the Merit Signature Lips. They're a really beautiful sheer satin but buildable lipstick. They just give the lips this perfect sheer satin everyday natural look. It's not a really creamy defined lipstick. If you like a more satin, sheer, and stiff lipstick, these are going to be perfect for you. I'm wearing Slip, and then I added a little bit of Les Avenue just on top. For me, it's like the perfect blotted lipstick look, that perfect satin lipstick. I wouldn't change a thing about them, and also the shades are so pretty. Very unique shades. Every single one that I've bought, I have not regretted. Super thin on the lips, but not drying at all. Such a staple product in my routine. And the liner that I'm wearing is Mauve. It's the Love Triangle Lip Filler Liner from e.l.f. My specific favorite is Light Brown from e.l.f., but these liners are so good. I love the kind of triangle applicator. It makes getting a precise line so easily. I have not been able to put down these liners, and they are definitely a product that like I had no intention of falling in love with. Like I just got them in the mail and I was like, oh, you know, I'll try out this liner. And then I was like, whoa. This liner is romancing me right now. And I've just been absolutely adoring them ever since. And then my last fave from the lip category is e.l.f. The glossy lip stains are perfection. It's a product that I use almost every single week, and I just find that they're one of those lip stains that is both comfortable and glossy, but not gloopy, not drying as you continue to wear it. The shades are beautiful. I love the paddle applicator. I wouldn't change a thing. It feels like such a luxurious makeup product. They really hit it out of the park with this launch. I don't think there's a single shade that I don't like. And lastly, for setting spray, I just included this one. It's just one. It's the Revolution Conceal and Define Infinite. It's just one of those setting mists that really extends the longevity of the makeup. It's affordable. The mist is nice and fine. Just one of those stable products. All right, you guys, so that was my top 3 makeup product in every category. I know this is a long video. Thank you for being here though. Like I mentioned earlier, I will leave that wet looking eyeshadow video linked over here if you have not checked it out. I'm going to leave all the products that I'm talking about linked down below for you guys. And if you do want to help support my channel if you just in general appreciate the video, you can use any of those links to make a purchase. They're an affiliate link, which means that I do make a small commission if you do purchase through them. It is one way to support my channel, and thank you in advance to anyone that does. And again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one.